Late yesterday afternoon, word came that Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia had died at the age of 79. A key conservative on the court, his death has already had an impact on the presidential campaign. We go now to CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford outside the Supreme Court in Washington. Jan?
Well, John, news of Scalia's death sent shockwaves through Washington. Just the loss of this larger-than-life figure here at the court and in the law. And regardless of your ideology, I think it is almost hard to imagine that when the justices return to the bench next week, the empty seat will be Scalia's.
The remedy for a case is always subject to the court's discretion and always depends upon the realities on the ground.
He was a giant in the law. Nominated by President Reagan, Justice Scalia shaped the conservative legal movement with his sharp intellect and his clear, colorful writing, like his dissent calling the court's decision upholding Obamacare pure applesauce. One of his most significant decisions for the court, that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. He told 60 Minutes Leslie Stahl in 2008 he couldn't imagine doing anything else.
When I first came on the court, I thought I would for sure get off as soon as I could, which would have been when I turned 65, because, justices retire at full salary. So there's no reason not to leave and go off and do something else. I cannot think of what I would do for an encore. I can't think of any other job that I would find as interesting and as satisfying.
But almost immediately after the news of his death broke, the fight began over his successor. The Supreme Court now is divided 4-4, and Republicans already are vowing to block whoever the president sends up. John?
So, Jan, if they do block the person the president sends up, what happens to the court?
Well, I think that is a very likely scenario, that we will not have a ninth justice on this Supreme Court for the indefinite future. And that means that the lower court decision in all of these controversial cases that the justices will be hearing this term, that decision will remain. So we are going to have cases this term, John, on affirmative action, on abortion, on the future of Obamacare, on labor unions. It is a docket chock full of controversy. But the lower court decision, if the court splits 4-4, would stand. So it means that all the controversy in some ways that we expected here at the court now will be shifted across the street, where the fight will be in Congress.